everybody. Welcome back to another Virtual Science Short. My name is Christian, and today we're going to be focusing on something that's very special. Now, we've already been talking all about our different states of matter, but today we're going to be focusing on just one of those states of matter, and that's going to be a liquid. Now, liquids are very different from some of the other states of matter because they're going to have different properties. So we're going to go ahead and take our example that we have here and explore some of those different properties. Now, water is a great example to use because it's actually the most common liquid that we actually find here on our planet. And it's pretty easy for us to find water, so also easy for us to study. Now, some of the properties that makes liquids different than solids and gas are the way that those molecules are going to arrange themselves. Since it is a piece of matter, it's going to contain molecules just like solids and gases, but the way those molecules sit is what's going to make our liquids different. Those molecules are not as tightly packed together as solids are, but they're also not as spread out as you'd find in a gas. Those liquids are going to be somewhere in between. They're kind of still attached to each other, but not by much. They have a little bit more room to move, and that's why we see liquids that can flow. That's also going to be very important when we're talking about the shape of a liquid. So let's go ahead and look at some of the tools that I have here. I've got a little beaker full of water here, and you can see if we're going to study this water, what shape do you think it's in? Well, that question can be kind of hard to answer because liquids can actually change their shape based on whichever container they're in. If I were to take this water and change it from the beaker and put it into this flask, you'll notice that the water is no longer the same shape as the beaker, but instead the shape of the flask. So as we change the container, we can also change the shape of our water. We can do that one more time by taking it from the flask and just pouring it into this little cup over here. So, different containers, different shapes. Now, another important thing to think about when you're talking about liquids is that even if we're changing the shape, even if we're moving it from container to container, the water is actually going to remain the same when we're talking about volume or how much water is actually going to be there. We can see that really clearly with these two containers. Those containers are going to have measurements on them. So we'll take our water, we'll pour it back into our beaker here, and you can see that we have about 100 milliliters of water. Now, if I were to change it and put it back into the flask, what you notice again, the shape is going to change, but did our amount of water change? No, right? You can look, it's still just about 100 milliliters of water. So even as we change it from different containers and different shapes, we retain the same volume, or the same amount of water is going to go from place to place. We're not actually losing it. Now, there are some of the cool properties that you can find when we're studying a liquid. Now, what you want to do is go ahead and take that and start comparing them to solids and comparing them to gases to see how those properties change and see how they're different. My name's Christian. I'll catch you in the next short.